suicide victims aren't just young girls who cut their wrists. Men can be suicidal. They're the highest, most likely to be suicidal. Suicide victims aren't people who wear all black. Suicide victims aren't people who just listen to emo music and screamo music. Suicidal people aren't people who just stay indoors all day. Suicidal people aren't just people who have no friends. The thoughts of suicide is packaged in all shapes and sizes and forms. Hi! If I look sweaty, it's because I am. I want to try to make a mental health video every month. I think I've made a mental health video like at least every month since I've started my YouTube channel. I really love to catch up with you guys in the comments. I feel like I keep track of like how you guys are going. I've known some of you guys for years from when I first started. But yeah, obviously you should be able to read the title of this video. This is pretty much a video where I talk about suicide and some things that not a lot of people mention regarding suicide. I just want to quickly mention as well too that I have been affected by suicide, obviously not directly because I am alive and here, but indirectly as in my friends and family have committed suicide. I don't really have much planned for this video. All of it's just in here. Okay, so if it's all over the place, this is just a stream of consciousness as well too, okay? If you've never been depressed, had anxiety, or some type of mental health issue, you might not even understand why someone may want to consider suicide. It's okay to be ignorant and not know these things, but the one thing you should not ever say to someone who comes to you and says, hey, I'm suicidal or I'm depressed, is that they are selfish. Do not ever say to someone that suicide is selfish, especially when they're coming to you because they're suicidal or they're depressed, or if a family member or a friend of theirs had committed suicide. That is the worst thing you can say. People don't just wake up one day and decide to commit suicide. There's a saying where everyone has a chapter that they don't want to read out loud. And for example, the chapter I don't want to read out loud is my childhood. And that is a chapter I prefer to keep close, unless if it's with like someone I'm really, really serious with. I give my entire self to the world. I'm so open with you guys. I can talk about masturbation. I can talk about anything to you guys, but everyone still has a chapter they don't like to read out loud. Consider this when you're talking to someone who is coming out to you who says they're depressed. They might not be depressed for the reasons that you see, as in they might not think they're pretty, they might not be getting enough grades, they might not have a big enough house, they might not have a boyfriend. Like, those issues that you see from them is only the surface. Everybody has their own issues, and instead of being like, hey, that's selfish because of this, be there to support them. When you're depressed, sometimes anxious, etc., your mind can be clouded with thoughts of, if I kill myself, my parents wouldn't have to pay for me to live. If I killed myself, my parents wouldn't have to pay for my school. If I killed myself, then maybe my friends would prefer to have me not in their table because their table doesn't fit me, or whatever. Irrational thoughts that has been created by their mental illness, such as depression, that has almost convinced them that they would be doing the world a favor if they end it all. And obviously, no, like don't end it. You're not gonna be doing the world a favor. That is your own crazy mind, and that's not a negative thing. I've got a crazy fucked up mind too, right? But that is your own crazy mind telling you that like your parents are gonna prefer you dead, which is not true. And sometimes you can have people shaking your friend or you or whatever, shaking, being like, hey, you're loved, you're loved, you're loved. We love you, we care for you. And still, because of their mental health, they could still want to kill themselves because they don't believe these things. And it can be very hard for them. Their minds can be clouded with these thoughts. And so don't think that they're selfish, because if there's one person who's harder on themselves than a person who's suicidal, it's them. They are the hardest person on themselves. Why do you think they want to end their lives? Be a little bit more compassionate, okay? Every time you hang up the phone, say I love you. Every time I hang out the phone, I say I love you. I don't care who it is. Sometimes I've accidentally said I love you to like my teachers and bosses on the phone just because I'm so used to the habit of saying I love you when I hang up. And the reason why I do this is because I'm so scared that the last time I talk to someone, I'm saying something like bye. or catcha. I want to make sure that the last thing I say to someone, and I know this might even sound selfish, but I want to make sure that the last thing I say to someone and the last thing for someone to know is that I love them. And I do, you know, I think it's really important. Like Anne Frank said, dead people receive more flowers than the living because regret is a stronger feeling than gratitude. So be grateful for the people around you. Give flowers to the living, okay? Don't be giving flowers just to the dead. Tell them you love them. And also pat people on the back when they decide that suicide isn't the answer, because it's not. You know, pat them on the back and be like, hey, look, I am so proud of you for choosing to fight. And you can even tell them, you know, I've never met a strong person with an easy past. Like, I'm sure everyone who's watching this video has had a hard past. And you guys are strong as fuck. You will not meet a strong person who has had everything handed to them. I'm sorry I'm going on so many different tangents, but you know, sometimes it feels like life is just dealing us the shittest cards. The shittest cards, okay? Like the worst cards. I feel like sometimes life throws us the shit cards right before the good ones so we can learn how to be grateful. So we can learn how to be grateful, if that makes sense. And that just reminded me of this other quote I read, and it was, it's not about being dealt a good set of cards or a good hand of cards. It's about being dealt a bad hand of cards, but making the most out of it and like winning with a bad set of cards. It's not about having a good set of cards and winning. It's about having a bad set of cards and winning. Does that make sense? Damn, I don't make any sense. Because a common misconception, which can be true and can be debated, is that some people who are suicidal have a victim complex and they think, oh, why me? Woe is me. All is me. Okay, to anyone who is suicidal, you could be living your life saying, why did this happen to me? Why me? Why? I'm a good person. Why does this have to happen? Why? When you can also be saying, life, try me. Sorry, that's like my favorite quote. Whenever I want to say, why me? Instead, be like, try me. Okay. Lame, I didn't mean to insert that random quote there. There is this quote from Alan Watts. Wow, look at me, I'm just like filled with quotes. This quote from Alan Watts, and it's, how does it go? There are two types of people in the world. Those who feel like they are the victim of the world, and those who understand that they are the world. You're not a victim of the world. You shouldn't be living your life thinking like, why does this had to happen to me? Why am I like this? When you could be getting those bad set of cards and still win, and still make a fucking win. I'm not saying that people who are suicidal are holding on to this like victimization thing and where they think they're just victims, because that's not true. You have to realize, which is the whole point of this video, is that people who are suicidal don't have a clear state of mind. They don't have a clear state of mind because we all have different brains that are wired completely differently, and some of us can be going through a really shit time that like provokes us to think these terrible things about ourselves. We can't hold on to being a victim, you know. Holding on to anything is like holding your breath, like you're going to suffocate. Honestly, I'm so sorry, this video's all over the place. Okay, as you can tell, like I'm not upset and crying and like how I am in every other mental health video, because I've grown from this and completely can talk about suicide and depression and all this stuff without my voice cracking, you know what I mean? I'm all good. I'm putting this out there for you guys. You know, when I think about the past and how I treated myself during the time where I was depressed and suicidal, like I just wish I could just go back and hold myself and like apologize and be like, hey, like I'm so sorry that I had to put you through this, because you can change your situation. You can change everything around you. Like that sounds crazy, like you can change everything around you, but I mean, you can't change what the world's gonna throw at you, but you can change how you react to what the world throws at you. For example, like instead of being like, oh, I have to go to work today, you can be like, oh, I get to go to work today. Instead of, I have to go eat, I get to go eat. Some people don't get to go eat. Some people don't get to go work. Some people don't get to go to the gym. So instead of being like, I have to go to the gym, I have to do this, I have to do this, say I get to. Because we're lucky. If you're watching me, you're lucky. Because you're on a device, you have Wi-Fi, you have internet, you're lucky. Okay? A lot of people will tell people who are suicidal and depressed, oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. You've got a roof over your head. You've got this, you've got that, you've got this, you've got a computer, you've got Wi-Fi. You are so lucky. Why are you depressed? Why am I depressed? I have a roof over my head. I have food. I have Wi-Fi. Why am I depressed? This is making me more upset because I'm confused why I'm depressed. Some people will tell you if you're suicidal and you're depressed that you're selfish and that you're lucky. That you're lucky to have Wi-Fi and all these things. And of course it makes you go into an existential crisis on your bed being like, so why am I like this? And some people don't understand like what it's actually like to have a chemical imbalance in your brain, because that's what depression is. It is a chemical imbalance. So how are these people going to be like, hey, you're selfish, you're selfish, you're selfish, when it's like, man, I've just got a chemical imbalance in my brain and I'm still trying to figure out how to cope with it. Because that's all we're doing. Like, guys, I still have depression. Like, I know I sit here and I'm like, I'm not depressed anymore. I still have depression, and I kind of believe that everyone who has depression will always have it, but I don't feel sad every day. I don't feel depressed every day because I know how to cope with it. I know how to cope with it because I know that meditating every day helps me. Eating a nice vegetarian diet helps me. I know that exercising helps me. I know that working and doing the things I love to do helps me. So every day I work on these little steps, such as just waking up and chugging water, because I know being hydrated will help me. So don't be disheartened if someone's like, oh, if you have depression, you're always gonna have depression. Like I said, it's not about what the world throws at you. It's not about having depression or anorexia or whatever. It's about how you cope with it, how you respond to it. The most important thing is how you respond to things. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter if someone has a bigger house than you, a newer iPhone than you, a bigger car than you, more friends than you. Our graves will all be the same size. Actually, if I'm cremated, then that's not the same size. But the point is, when we're dead, that shit doesn't matter. Like, no one's gonna stand up at your funeral and they're gonna be like, Anna's beanie was so expensive. She had a lot of designer clothes and I was really impressed with her choice of cars and her choice of designer jewelry and designer earrings. Like, I don't even know what to say, because no one's gonna stand up at your funeral being like, oh, she had this, she had that, she had this. They're gonna stand up and be like, that bitch is a compassionate motherfucker. Actually, maybe not motherfucker, but that bitch compassionate, cared for everyone, gave everybody help, smiled at anybody, just Buddha reincarnated. Kindness isn't an act, it's a lifestyle. So if you are kind to yourself, kind to other people, you will get kindness back. For people who are suicidal, depressed, be kind to them. Be kind to them. Be kind to everybody, because sometimes you don't even know if someone is depressed, if someone is suicidal, if someone is anxious. Sometimes you don't even know that, so be kind to everybody. You're never, ever gonna know when it's someone's last day, when it's someone's breaking point, when it's your last conversation with someone. You're never gonna know that. So make sure that every conversation you have, you are kind and you don't say something you're gonna regret. I know so many people who live in regret for things that they said. Those people had passed away and now you can't take it back. You can't unsay those things. Yes, for the 20th fucking tangent, I love you guys all so much. I really, really hope you guys reach out in the comments section below if you are going through a rough time. We all are. It's 12 o'clock. We all are, so nobody is going to judge you in the comments. And if anybody does, you can't control what people say to you, but you can control how you respond to it. And whether the energy you're gonna put out there is replying back to them, being hateful, or whether you're just gonna look at it, laugh, and go pour yourself a cup of tea, okay? You could be friends with someone who's very popular in your friendship group, who could be deeply inside very, very suicidal. You can never just assume, well, they don't have any cuts on their wrist. Oh, they have a perfect family life. Oh, they have a perfect house with a perfect boyfriend. It is still so, so important to reach out, because sometimes you don't even know what people are going through, and sometimes you don't even know someone's going through the chapter that one day they may never read out loud because it's that fucking traumatizing. So you can be there, not to ask them to read it out loud, to tell them, but to just be like, hey, I'm gonna be your friend, I'm gonna pat your back, I'm gonna be there for you to listen if you want to talk, and if you don't, I'm still gonna be here to hug and care for you and support you no matter what. And sometimes the best thing you can ever say to someone is, how and what is the best way I can support you? So I will dare whoever's watching this video to ask the next person or any person who talks to you today how their mental health is going. And be very direct with that question, because when I ask, how are you? Because everyone's equipped to be like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. Be straight and direct and be like, hey, how's your mental health going? And trust me, that's gonna be a conversation that you're gonna thank me for later, because that friend's also gonna remember that you asked them about their mental health, and one day they might turn around and be like, hey, how's your mental health? And you can be like, thanks for asking, but I've been going through this, oh shit, I just hit my ring light. But I've been going through this, and that. Anyways, I gotta go now. Love you guys all so much. Please stay safe, please stay lucid, please stay vibrant, please stay alive. Bye!